Yes, people, welcome back to a brand new video. City versus Brighton this week, and an opportunity for redemption or to get back to winning ways for Manchester City. But as always, we like to get an opposition fan view, and I've got Ben from the Seagull Social with me to give his thoughts. Ben, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Looking forward to the game. Not looking forward to the fact that Rodri's back. Well, I'm pretty sure he's back, isn't he? But yeah, I get this might be a good time to play you. So there's a positivity there. Normally when we play against City, we're going to get battered, but there's a chance that we could get a result, and I'm hoping that we do.
I think most teams nowadays are probably giving Brighton a lot more respect and credit than they have done in years gone by. And that's deserved. I think that's totally deserved with the football you've been playing, the European football you now have as well. So the works Zerby and Graham Potter and these guys have done have elevated you to a level of, even when you come to place like the Etihad, we're not looking at that going, this is going to be a walkover. But I suppose give me a bit of an idea of how you've looked at the start of your season so far. I was doing a show last night with a couple of my friends, and we kind of came to the conclusion that this season Brighton have been a bit of a mixed bag. You're not sure what Brighton are going to turn up. It could be the Brighton that wins at Old Trafford or beats Newcastle or pulls off a big result or 2-2
against Liverpool. Against Aston Villa.
Yeah, and or that Brighton. How do you analyse that?
I'd say before we started the European campaign, so in Europa League, it was incredible. It was such a good start to the season. We were dreaming of reaching Europe again. And then there was that kind of doubt of how we're going to do when the European games come around, dealing with the squad and the lack of fitness, maybe the lack of match sharpness and the quick turnarounds of fixtures, which we're none of us are used to as Brighton fans, and most of our players aren't really used to. And then since we've gone into Europe, that's when we've kind of had a few hiccups. I think one of the worst results was definitely Aston Villa, losing to them 6-1. That was abysmal. We never do well against Villa, but I was not expecting us to get battered by them that much. And even when we did play in Europe, our first game we drew. We draw with Athens, and that was pretty much a shock result. I don't know if that's because they played well, we played poor. Maybe it was a mix of that. But yeah, I will say, to answer your question, the start of the season was good, but since then it's been a bit shaky.
When you look at a game like this yourself, and you look at both teams, like Brighton has had a bit of a mixed bag, you could easily turn up and play great football and make a game out of it. But you are coming to the home of the champions, to the Etihad Stadium. How do you feel coming into a game like this? Obviously, like you said, Rodri's back. Haaland's found a bit of form over the international break. He scored 2 goals for Norway. Hopefully he can continue that. But how do you feel coming up to the Etihad?
There's a little bit more confidence than we normally would have. I think the only reason why you've done poorly recently is 3 losses on the bounce for you guys. I'm pretty sure in all competitions. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that you could probably put that down to just Rodri's absence, really. So now with him coming back, it's going to be a lot tougher. But I think we usually do well when we play against teams that are going to attack us as well. When we played against West Ham and lost 3-0 at home to them, they defended so brilliantly and hit us on the counter attack, and I think they scored with every shot they had on target, which was just one of them games. I think maybe we'll bring the game to you for sure. We won't just sit back like most teams probably do at the Etihad. So it should be an entertaining one. But I'm not confident we'll get a win, but a draw, I'd absolutely bite your hand off for that.
I always find teams that do come toe-to-toe with us, like Liverpool have done it, Newcastle have done it, Southampton have done it a couple of times. Like, it's a high-risk, high-reward game. You can either get absolutely slapped up, or else you can make a blockbuster of a game and you might get something. Even Fulham have done it. So I think Brighton, under the Zerby in the football you play, have probably got the capacity to do that more so than other teams. If you had to identify, for City fans that maybe don't watch Brighton, some players that we would have to look out for. I mean, as an Irish man, I'm a massive fan of Evan Ferguson. I've been watching him since he was 14, 15 years old, playing for my local club. I mean, tell me a bit about him, first of all, and some of your other players.
Yeah, we absolutely love Evan Ferguson. I'm sure that Irish fans do, don't they, as well? I think even just for Irish fans in general, the football and the youth, the next generation coming through is pretty positive. And Evan Ferguson is certainly one of them. And Andrew Moran, he's another Brighton player on loan at Blackburn. He looks like a good Irish player. But yeah, Evan Ferguson's been a revelation. Ever since we lost Glenn Murray, we were kind of missing that striker and the talisman. And he's got that Glenn Murray-esque about him, but he's also got the pace and strength as well. Can do pretty much everything. It's quite silly to say, but if Harry Kane and Erling Haaland had a baby, I think Evan Ferguson has those kind of characteristics. I'd say he drops deep, can play the ball really well, similar to Kane. and he's got that striker's instincts like Erling Haaland has to do these one-touch finishes. And yeah, Evan Ferguson is definitely going to be an unbelievable number 9, whether that's at Brighton or at Man City, or who God knows where he's going to be ending up after Brighton. But yeah, he's been incredible for us. But I think one guy to watch out for, especially this all started when we played you at the Amex and drew 1-1. It was Van Heck against Erling Haaland, was a battle I did not expect to end how it did. I know Erling Haaland scored against us, but it was given offside. But Van Heck was absolutely superb against Erling Haaland. So I hope for Brighton's sake that Van Heck starts again for us against Erling Haaland, because our defence and our spine has been changed so much. In our last game, I think it's against Liverpool, it was the first time Dunker played with our centre-back Igor. It's just constantly changing in midfield as centre-back. So fingers crossed for Brighton, we've got Van Heck and Dunk playing, because they locked up Haaland quite well at the Amex last season.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few centre backs, or Dawson, Kilman, Saliba, Gabriel in recent weeks anyway, will feel they've locked up Haaland. So as a City fan, I'm hoping it's not repeat and Haaland can get the better of a centre half. But a massive topic, I suppose, that's related to both of us is managerial situation. There's increasing reports that Pep believes De Zerbi will be the next Manchester City manager. There's reports that some board members at Manchester City would like De Zerbi to be the next Manchester City manager. I suppose from your perspective, how do you feel about that? I'm a massive admirer of De Zerbi and what he's done. Do you think if it was to happen, he has the minerals to step into those shoes, be Pep's successor, and keep us at the top?
You know what? I think he does. I think he has that more. He's got that dog in him that maybe Graham Potter didn't have to do well at Chelsea. I think Zerby definitely has that, and he may be a lesser name than other people that will probably get linked with the Man City job anyway. But I still think he would do a very, very good job at City. Plays similar football. I think Pep kind of took him under his arm the past few seasons, even before he was at Brighton. So there's images of them going for dinner and stuff like that. So it seems like Pep's maybe been working on this for a few years now, and then he got the job at Brighton as obviously a good audition for a top job in English football. I think he would be a good fit for City, but it would still be a surprise if he did make that jump from Brighton to Man City. I still feel there might be another challenge in between there before you make the big step, because that is a huge job. Taking over from Pep Guardiola is very similar to David Moyes probably taking over from Sir Alex Ferguson. The only way you can match the previous manager is by constant success, which will be a huge pressure for De Zerbi. But I think he could do a good job there, and it's just Pep being mischievous again, because the report was after that 1-1, he kind of went to some Brighton players in the tunnel, were saying he's the next Man City manager. So I can't imagine what their reactions were. Maybe they chuckled just because Pep's being Pep, but they probably thought, "Oh God, are we actually going to lose De Zerbi here in the next couple of years?" So as a Brighton fan, it's quite annoying for Pep to do that, but I do understand it, and maybe it was just a joke.
Yeah, he has a funny sense of humor sometimes, Pep. I don't fully understand it myself at times, but because he's so great, I kind of just go with it and pretend I know what's
Even
going
today,
on.
he done a Frank Lampard, didn't he, in the press conference? I think he started laughing and then just went he went ha ha ha, and then just pulled like a straight face, and then goes, "Ask me a serious question." He's a funny
No,
bloke.
he's a character, Pep Guardiola, man. But I can see the attract. I think your metaphor or your comparison to taking over from Sir Alex Ferguson, it's probably the best one to come up with, because you are trying to fill the biggest shoes in European football right now, whoever it is. And I can see why City and Pep obviously will have influence over who the next manager is. Look at De Zerbi as a potential candidate or one of the top candidates, because we've always maintained that whoever is to take over from Pep, we don't want it to be a massive culture change or change in style of football. Attractive football seems to be a massive priority. It's not like, say, what Chelsea were over the years, maybe where they'll have a massive change of culture and manager. You go from Mourinho, massive defensive, to another manager who'll play attacking football. We want to kind of maintain a style of football, and I think it's fair to say De Zerbi has shown, with the little resources he has at Brighton, he's able to do a fantastic job and play really attractive football. But I want to give credit, and I want to ask you a bit about your thoughts about the recruitment and the work that the board have done to find these players, to find people like De Zerbi. You must be just in dreamland, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. I think when it first started, it was quite frustrating, to be honest, because we weren't doing as well as we are now. We were near the bottom of the table. under Graham Potter, especially, even under Chris Hughton, when we signed Alexis McAllister was one of our first ones, or the first big names. And it was like, oh, he's going to go back on loan for another year. He needs to get a work permit. And we're like, we need players for the first team here and now. And there was a lot of frustration from the fan base because they were just spending all this money on future talent. But now it's paying off, of course. So we can't really complain. And every time we do get linked with a new star, we're happy to wait because the team's doing so well now anyway. And I think last season I was saying, when everyone was raving about Karim Matoma, I said on this another show, I was saying how there's a guy called Simon Adingra who's on loan at USG where Matoma was the previous season, and he's doing even better numbers than Matoma was. And now, fast forward to this season, Adingra's had a brilliant start to the season for Brighton. He's predominantly on the left for USG and also a forward, but even on the right, he seems to be doing a job for us. So he's probably the next up for us. But the recruitment is incredible. I'm a massive fan of Football Manager, so seeing it in real life for my own club is just an absolute blessing in disguise. Signing all these wonder kids is brilliant.
Do you think, just going back to Ferguson, I want to ask your thoughts. Do you think he could be the next £115 million man? I ask because my local club who gave Ferguson to Brighton, apparently we have some sort of a sell-on clause. You know, even if my local club here got 10 million out of that, it would totally change the fortunes of the club.
I think, I did see that as well, which would be brilliant because that would just be. I would love to see what a club of that size would do, and that would be massive for decades to come for your club. I guess, he probably is the next up for sure. He's probably got to have a couple more seasons, maybe at Brighton. He's definitely got his head screwed on, and I don't think he would jump at the first chance. There was the story of when he was having trials with Premier League clubs, he turned down Liverpool to join Brighton, so he could have a better pathway to the first team, which shows that he's a smart kid. He's not just there to jump at the first big opportunity. So I don't know if he'll be the next one, our big name to sell, but I think if we do sell him, it probably will be over 100 million if we manage to get that much for Caicedo and whoever's next, really.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Sheikh Mansour to go in and just drop 150 million or something. You know, play Haaland and Ferguson up top. That would be quite a scary look. But
he'll be a great replacement for Haaland if Haaland does go.
Listen, I see a world where we can play both. Haaland doesn't need to go.
I hope for your sake there is.
Absolutely. Moving slightly back to the game before we wrap it up, what do you think Brighton need to do based on what you've seen so far this season? You said you would love a draw. You'd bite the hand off a draw. What way do you think you need to set up? What way would you like to attack, defend, whatever, to get something at the Etihad?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Maybe it's just starting from the back. What's let us down at the moment is the mistakes we've made from the goalkeepers, whether it's been Jason Steele or Bart Verbruggen. Jason Steele's been making mistakes with poor saves. Verbruggen's been caught out a couple of times of trying to play out the back and then giving the ball away and us conceding from those opportunities. I think Liverpool was 2 mistakes from us. And I think probably against Villa, Jason Steele probably could have saved 2 or 3. Even against Marseille, probably could have saved 2 or 3. So attacking wise, I wouldn't change a single thing. It's just defensively causing issues for ourselves and conceding because of them. So I just hope that we're good defensively and don't make loads of mistakes like we have been doing.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. I think we've made a few mistakes defensively with the lack of Rodri. Anyway, it definitely dampens the confidence of our overall defense. But John Stones is back. He played for England last week, so hopefully he can come in and do a bit of a job for us. But listen, we're going to wrap it up there. But before we do, I want to get your score predictions, as I always do. How do you feel about this one?
Oh, score. I mean, City are due a win, which is crazy to say. So I think City will win. Unfortunately for Brighton, maybe it'll be. I think it could be high scoring, especially because of our poor defense at the moment. So maybe 3-2 City or 3-1 City.
You're backing against your own team, Ben, really?
I'm a realist, mate. I'm a realist, yeah. If I'm thinking about a loss, I'm not going to be upset if we do.
No, that's fair enough. Don't set your hopes too high so you don't feel let down. But listen, exactly. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. For those of you watching at home right now, myself and Jordan will do a full preview for the game tonight where you'll get my score predictions, predicted 11, and we'll do more of a City top. But listen, Ben, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I'm going to get your links, Seagull Social, and all that down below in the description. And hopefully it's a good game, but you're not feeling too happy after Saturday afternoon.
Same to you as well. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Absolutely. Chat, do us a favor, go down and show support to Ben and Seagull Social. As always, we'd like to show support to our great guests. Smash a like on this video if you would, it massively helps. And subscribe if you're new on the road to, I believe, 90k is the next big goal. So if you hit subscribe, that'd be massively helped too. And we'll see you in a bit.